Welcome to our Kung Fu talk show. This is part 3, and today my guest is, and I know he don't like to be called Sifu, but I call him Alberto Biraghi Sifu from Italy, my very good friend. And he has a story to tell that everyone who's down with Kung Fu, Chinese martial arts and tradition, you will love that story. So welcome, my good friend, Alberto Biraghi Sifu. Hello.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, brother, and hello to everybody. And I'm really happy and honored to be here to share with my experience with all the Kung Fu enthusiasts.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me, and I'm sure we're gonna have a good time. So
we will.
I understand. I know your story. I think I read your story for the first time on a discussion forum, but I forgot which forum that was. There's something Southern Kung Fu Forum or something like that. When you first time when you told your story,
it was fun. It was Brother Pavel Macek forum at the time. It was just a forum. He managed this forum. And at the time, I was searching something about Kung Fu and about our Hong style Kung Fu. And I happened to find a picture where I appeared, and it was a picture of a Chinese magazine taken in 1977 when Master Chan Hon Chung brought me and my wife and a friend they were with me in Hong Kong for our first trip to Hong Kong. They brought me to this Chan's meeting. You know, the Chan's are so many in Hong Kong that they have an association, and they frequently meet and have this. That's the occasion to make the usual standard, you know, dinners or lunches, Chinese banquet. And somebody took a picture, and there were persons that were commenting this picture saying, hey, but Master Chan had a European student in 1977. And I registered to their forum and say, okay, I am the guy up there on the picture. and this started it all, you know.
Yeah, I remember that. So I was reading your story, and I could not wait to the next, when I read from one day, and I could not wait until the next day when you continue the story, you know. I was saving it up, and I made my own little book, you know, PDF book.
I'm so happy.
You know, I love to read it. So now I don't know how long that is ago. More than 10 years, probably.
I think so. I think so. More than 10 years. I mean, time lapses so fast.
Yeah.
And you know, I was writing an article on something for my blog and my friends about martial arts. And you know, I considered that I started my first martial movement, exactly 50 years ago. So half a century. And this is, I mean, this makes me feel old, and I also have, you know, the idea that I had the opportunity to see stuff that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And so I was very lucky. I mean, it's a precious experience.
Yeah, no doubt. So we know you started with karate.
Yeah,
I think it was, if you was into martial arts in the old time, there was not too much options. Well, not too many options. There was karate, judo, boxing.
No, I started in 71 because I mean, everything happened by chance.
Yeah.
So I started in 1971 because at the time I was a student. I went to, this was archaeological excavations in southern Italy. I was studying classical stuff. And I met a guy that was, that just started karate, and they say, hey, that's fun. Why don't you come? And so in September, I went to this gym, and I liked it. I mean, and you know, also I have part of my family is in the United States. So when they heard that I liked karate, they started sending me American magazines of martial arts. That in the US already Kung Fu stuff was more popular. There were Kung Fu teachers. In Italy, there was nothing, just a few people pretending to teach Kung Fu, but it was really bad stuff, poor stuff. And so I kept training karate, and I got my black belt in 1975. And the thing that changed my path was that my gym was doing Shotokan at the time.
Yeah.
And they met this teacher that was called Nambu, that had developed his own style that was Sankukai, and was, with spinning kicks, and was very athletic stuff. And they decided to change the style, and I didn't like it. I mean, I was short-legged, kind of solid. I mean, this Shotokan was to me at the time was the real thing. So I moved to another gym, but at the same time, my wife was at the university, and she had a Chinese classmate, and I told her, ask this guy if he knows Chinese. Sorry, that's the telephone. If he knows Chinese Kung Fu. Yeah. And he replied, yes, I am the student of the best teacher in Hong Kong. And so I said, good, damn, let's do it. So I kept on karate, but I started learning this Hong style from him. In fact, he wasn't such a good student. In spite of this, he became a teacher here. There are articles on the Italian magazines, because there was a huge demand of the Kung Fu, because during that period of time, the movies came in, the Chinese movie, the Bad of Five Fingers of Violence, this kind of stuff, and then Bruce Lee, and so there was a huge demand and he became a teacher. But the thing was that he was the brother of one of the oldest living students of Chan Hon Chung.
Whoa.
And so so Fung Q, that he was the winner of one of the first Southeast Asian free tournament of martial arts. He was really a good fighter, and so in 1977 we planned this trip to Hong Kong because I wanted to see the real thing.
Yeah,
and that was and that, in spite of the fact that that trip, 40 days of hell in August, with 40 degrees, 99% of humidity, and training in those conditions is crazy, but it was so incredible that I knew that was something that I wanted to do.
Just to go back, when you meet this guy, this Chinese guy who was also a student of Chan Hon Chung Sifu, what exactly you learned from him? Some basics, or?
Yeah, what we did is that I knew nothing of Kung Fu. I mean, in Italy there was nothing. Right. I just had a book that was called a white and green American book called Hungar, and it was maybe you've seen it. It's a book of the 70s. There were some books. And so he started teaching me the Mui Fa Kun, and the Sei Ma and the Da Sam Sing, and the basic thing. And then I discovered that he didn't know much. I mean, he knew a couple of forms, but as I always said, especially in those years, the Chinese have it in their DNA. So, I mean, in spite of the fact is that he didn't know much, but his positions, his movements were good. Yeah. So when I went to Chan Hon Chung, in spite of the fact that I learned from somebody that at the time would have called, I don't know, a green belt of karate or something, the same level, but his movements were very good. So, when Chan Hon Chung liked what I did. Then there is the story when the first lesson with Chan Hon Chung, which is fun.
but I mean, I'm just trying to understand or to imagine the because you've been a black belt in karate, so you have a solid foundation. and then this guy from China, he show you the Saving Ma. I mean, the Saving Ma is a little different than the karate Kibadachi. No, what was it called?
Kibadachi,
Yeah,
Kibadachi,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? And this is what I was, this is another story, what I'm doing now, but I mean, trying to reflect on all those years of martial experience. But the thing is that what was so much more logical, you know, the Hong style, I mean, at the time I couldn't really understand. It was just a feeling. It was nothing that I could, you know, make an idea, logical idea on it. The thing was that the feeling that the Saiping Ma was more logical, and the Ting Ma was, you know, even more logical, with this thing of the knee that goes, you know, elastic, and everything was more. And then the movements were beautiful. So the big difference is that karate is so, there's no fantasy, there's no beauty. In Hong style, I mean, I don't want to blame karate. I mean, I have a positive idea about Shotokan karate, and I don't like this thing that now everybody is blaming karate for being new, for being modern, for being fake. Shotokan karate has a strong meaning that I respect it. Yeah. But when you practice martial arts, I mean, you practice because it's, you know, makes you feel good, because a lot of things, but also because it's a beauty. I mean, doing those movements is beautiful. And you know, and those movements are beautiful. When you practice the tiger, you know, and the crane, those are beautiful movements. And that was the big difference at the time. That the fantasy was like a ballet, but you know, it was great. And so I didn't have any doubt. I understood that the guy wasn't a top-ranked teacher. I didn't have a good experience. But what I understood is that he came from somebody who knew. And so I wanted to go to the origin. I decided I wanted to go to the origin, also because he started, you know, introducing me the Chinese food and the Chinese tradition, and I liked everything. He could cook some stuff, and it was good. You know, he introduced me Chinese tea that now is part of my daily life. I drink tons of, fortunately, from Alibaba, I can buy my Bolte now. And that started, and that was so good. And that I want to go to the origin. That's it.
I understand you. It's a little bit like when I first came in contact with Hong Kuen, you know, my first Sifu, it was a Chinese from Malaysia, but he came to Germany in the 70s, and he also started a school, but not Hungar, right? So that's the school that I joined. And then in 1989, he opened a restaurant. We had a school and opened a restaurant, and then I helped renovating the place and everything. And then later on, like a year later, 1990, I started actually to work in the restaurant for 3 months. And they had in the back, they had an apartment where the cooks lived, and one cook already had a wife, and that cook, he knew Hong Kuen. He wasn't like you, like your friend. He wasn't a teacher, but he learned some Hong Kuen from his family, from his uncle, I think, and then also from a Taiwanese Hungar teacher. So he had something. And then when I was there, I already trained 14 years in martial arts, karate, judo, a little bit boxing, Chinese kung fu. And then after, when the restaurant closed at 10 o'clock, we were eating together. And then I started to practice my stuff that I know. And then he said, oh, come on, let's fight and stuff. And he always took me down. You know, he had some techniques and moves that I didn't know. And I said, what's that? And at that time, he didn't even say Hungar. He said, I think he said tiger crane or something like that. And then I said, hey, I want to learn it. I want to learn that. And then he started to teach me in between. You know, I was cutting the vegetables, and cleaning the plates and cook the rice. You know, that was my job. And
but that's also very traditional, because you know Chinese kung fu there back in the days was in the medicine shops or in the restaurants.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. Absolutely.
So that's how I fell in love with that art. So, but back to you. So in 77, you went to Hong Kong, and that was your first time going to Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, that was the first time. And what, and that after, I remember exactly the feeling of getting out the plane in Hong Kong. At the time, there were not the snorkels, you know, you came out on the stairs and getting into the atmosphere. And I had the feel that I wanted to go back into the plane and come back home, because it was so hot, so humid, so so oppressive. And I also remember that, you know, the first days, the things that this guy that brought us there hadn't seen his family for a while. And so in the first couple of days, he didn't show up. I mean, he was already there, but we couldn't reach him. And so we were lost, me, my friend, and my wife, in this Chungking mansion that is still there. But at the time, you know, in Tsim Sha Tsui, but at the time was really a hell of it's a big building. Each stage is an hotel. All Indians. And in the basement, there is a flea market with food and stuff. So you get out the elevators, and this strong smell of curry and fried garlic. And it was really awful. And then we were at the 11th floor or something, but the traditional big red Hong Kong cockroaches came out every time that you turned off the air conditioning. That was very noisy. So you had to choose between having the cockroaches in the bed or hearing the noise of the air conditioning. And we were really messed up. After 2 or 3 days, we were really considering to go back home, because it was total, you know. And then Hong Kong in 1977, if you were a young guy with not so much money, so you could go to the peninsula to have some you know, some normal food. But we knew nothing. We knew nobody. We couldn't speak the language. Nobody spoke English at the time. And so we had problems in eating. We went to this small restaurant for the money problems, and we couldn't spend much. So we pointed the stuff without knowing what was it, and they laughed, and they does this horrible stuff of, you know, liver stuff that we were on the couch. It was really, really tough. But then eventually the guy showed up, and the guy brought me to the gym of Mr. Chan Hon Chung, and that changed everything, because it was early morning, and I came into this place, and you know, there was the entrance. At the side of the entrance, just in the half square meter, there was a shop of a guy who sold the ties, lighters, cigarettes, and he was a very good practitioner of the white crane style of Kung Fu. Yeah, he was a very good martial artist. And then you went into, and on the side, there was the travel agency of Edward Chen, the son of Master Chen, where there was this beautiful girl working at the desk. And that was the first good thing when you got in at the beginning. And then there was the tailor shop, because the main business was a tailor shop of Chan Hon Chung, with all these guys that were always with a cigarette, always smoking, and doing this all dressed in Chinese style with black pants, Chinese shoes, white cotton t-shirts, you know, old, and they were cutting and smoking and coughing, and it was incredible. And then you got through this, and you reached the studio of Master Chen. There was this incredible little room full of stuff. was totally full of you know, memories, books, television set, turn on H24
Yeah.
with on this Chinese opera, where from time to time some fighting with the weapons old style appeared, and he was there, and he welcomed me. He smiled. He could spoke not more than 5 English words, but the guy, the Benjamin Fung, that was the guy that brought me there, traduced. And the first thing he said, okay, he pointed at the on the side, there was the gym, you know, on one side was the, and so we went into the gym that was quite small, and also there was the air conditioning system that sent the hot air, because it was the air conditioning system of the travel agency, and that was sending hot air into the gym just to make it better. And he put me there, and he told me, and so my friend Benjamin said, okay, show him Muifaken, and he showed, and I showed him his Muifaken, and Master Chan said, oh yeah, like you know, traditional stuff. And then after saying, oh yeah, he said Seping Ma, and when I went into my Seping Ma, it went behind me, and he started pushing on my hips to push me down and down and down and down and keep me there. And it was so tired and so hard, and it was nice. And then was it. And then he showed me he made some corrections to the Muifaken, and then he went away because he started having patients that were visiting him. And I didn't know what to do. So so Benjamin said, well, now, I mean, now he accepted you, because I mean, you are part of the gym, and you can stay here, train when you want. And then Benjamin disappeared. And the kids, the other guys started coming in, and they say hello, and they were kind of not very friendly at the beginning, but then I understood that Benjamin introduced me as this Italian expert of karate that wanted to check out Chinese Kung Fu. But what they understood, I mean, they saw that I started coming from the next day. I was there at 6:30 in the morning, and I trained as hell the same thing, because nobody taught me anything else. And I kept training Muifaken. And I trained in the afternoon, and so after a couple of days, they understood that probably there was something wrong, and eventually showed up Raymond Lau, who spoke English, and I told him the real thing. And from that moment, so the next day, Master Chen came out, and he started teaching. And I started learning the Lao Gaken, and that year I learned Muifaken again, and Lao Gaken, Lao Gakuan, and the monkey stick. Okay. Nice. And in 30 days, and that was it. I mean, that was the beginning. And then these hands, before I went back, Benjamin showed up again, and he told me that I was supposed to give some money to Master Chen. I said, obviously. And I remember for the old stars thing, they asked me kind of, it's difficult, but it's something like $50 of the time, 50 US dollars for 1 month of lessons, and 4 forms, you know, and then I came back home, and when I wrote a letter to Master Chen to thank him, I wrote a letter, and I received a reply where Master Chen told me that unfortunately it's been lost when the thieves came into my house and robbed the documents, and also robbed that letter. Yeah, and they destroyed, probably it's been destroyed. That's such a pity. But I remember perfectly, I said that he was very happy that a new Italian student was interested in his art. And if I was going to come back next year, I could have stayed at the gym. So I didn't need to go to the Chungking mansion because they had upstairs. He had a couple of rooms, and which weren't actually comfortable because we're rooms on Nathan Road at the first floor, and you can imagine the noise and the mess but it was, you know, the real thing. It was in the place. And so in 1978, I went back there, and there are other stories.
So, I only obviously know Master Chan from the few videos that are, I mean, that lovely BBC documentary,
Yeah.
Way of the Warrior. I love
Yeah.
this documentary because it already shows some insight how the Mogun of Master Chan looked and how they trained in there, and it's just exactly as you also explained, and I think this is one of the best Hunga documentaries I've seen so far. You know, I mean, there are many and there are also nice ones, but this one is just, it kind of caught the atmosphere. You know, you can really, especially when if you have been to Hong Kong and then you see this, you can kind of relate, you know. So so it's very nice. So so you see little bits of Master Chan, and you can already see in his face and his eyes what a great guy and friendly, and but still know his stuff.
Oh yeah, it knew. He was a great guy. Master Chen was a great guy. I cannot say that he was a special man. I mean, he was special because he was, you know, always focused. He was kind. But he always had a goal. I mean, he wanted to do stuff. He wanted to do things. He could put together. He had this strong capacity of keeping people together. He was like a sun, you know, and with the planets that go around. In fact, when eventually and sadly he died, as all human beings, is kind of universe, kind of everybody went in his own direction, but there was no because I understand, because all my sayings that are all wonderful persons. I mean, I've been lucky also because, you know, Kong Pui Wai, Chang Gi-kyung, Leon Fook, they were Raymond Lau, Seda Wing, they are all incredible guys, generous, nice, wonderful. But none of them, I mean, is something like each of them inherited some of the qualities of Master Chan. But Master Chan had them all. I mean, he concentrated quality. It was a concentrate of quality. And he was a guy, just to tell you, who he was. So in 1978, I left Italy. It was the end of July. I was alone that year because my wife at the time, was my first wife, didn't want to stay. I mean, didn't like the idea of staying in Hong Kong for 40 days. So we decided to, I would have gone there. She would have reached for some days of holidays at the end, but then we changed. But this is not the case. The story is that I landed in Hong Kong in 1978 alone with my suitcase, and I proceeded to the customs place to check the passport check. And they asked me a lot of questions. And at the time, when I reached a policeman, he asked me, "Why are you here?" And I said, "I am here because I'm going to stay here and learn Chinese Kung Fu." And he said, it did something like that. And he said, "Oh, just a moment. You are, where are you going to learn Kung Fu?" "Master Chan Hon Chung." He said, "Wait here." And he came out the box. He opened it, he closed the box. He told me, "Follow me." And he brought me to the where you take your luggage. and to the baggage claim. He put the baggage. He brought me through the customs without any check, and we went to the meeting room where there was Master Chan and the other students. They were waiting for me, and he went to Master Chan and he said, "Sifu," something in Chinese that they explained that was, "Sifu, this is your students. I did my best to make his life easy in this immigration thing." And he bowed, and then he went away.
Wow.
So this was Master Chan, you know.
Yeah.
And this is the first thing. And the second thing that was just to give you the idea of the atmosphere, because, you know, I was make this consideration for a thing that I'm writing now about the differences between today's martial arts and Chinese martial arts back in the days in Hong Kong. And the difference is that now, you know, there was no overstructure of you know, rules and stuff, but there was this strong feeling of being part of a family. And this the second story that gives you the idea of the feeling is that in 1977, so the first year, I got very friendly with Sito Wing, who didn't speak Chinese. Excuse me, didn't speak English. Yeah. He only spoke Chinese, and but we made up this strange language with some Chinese words, and he started teaching me mahjong, and he brought me to the restaurants, and we couldn't talk. You know, it was really frustrating. And 1978, Sito Wing was right behind Master Chen, and when I came in, he told me, "Hello, Alberto, we came here to bring you to the gym all together." So what he did, he spent his 1 year at the British Council to learn English because he wanted to speak with me. Wow. You know, and consider that the guy worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, which makes the thing, because the Chinese, you know, Hong Kong people in those years worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah. And at the night after work, he went to the British Council and studied English to speak with me. And we are still best friends now, you know. Now he's a big businessman, and he is with supercars and all, and still is the nice, humble, and generous guy that was there. Yeah. And that was it. And so that year we went, and he brought me, and he showed me my room upstairs, and was the bathroom and this and that. And that was really the real thing, because I was part of the life of the gym. And that year I stayed there 45 days, and I lost 11 kilograms and we had the lunch and the dinner at the gym, because, you know, at noon all the tailor activity stopped, and they put the table, took out the rice cooker. Yeah. And one of the tailors went there was a small kitchen, and he cooked for everybody. And Sito Wing says that he was so bad as a tailor that they decided he was a cook. And and the food was really, you know, basic and very Chinese. So there was always rice, 2 vegetables, and some proteins that could have been from time to fish or eggs or some chicken, you know, but a lot of rice, and that was it. So from time to time, I admit that when there was the period that you couldn't really train because it was too hot between you know, 1 after lunch and 3 or 4, because there was also the sun that came from the upstairs. There was some glass windows that brought, and it was really, really impossible to sustain. And I took all the way to Victoria, which was a long way because there was no underground. So I had walked or took the bus which from time to time was so crowded that you couldn't just get on. So I walked all the way to Chim Sa Choy, took the Star Ferry, went to Victoria, get up to McDonald's, and then eat 3 or 4 That was the only McDonald's in
I was going to say, yeah, now everything is a McDonald's, but then, okay, you had to go.
Or 4 burgers, 2 or 3 huge Cokes, 4, that was incredible. And it was, and then I came back and it was just a moment of relax, but I did it occasionally. It was not a routine.
I can totally understand that.
Yeah.
Especially when you went there, it's always summertime, right? July, August, that's the hottest time, right?
Yes, always. It was hot. The thing was that the Chinese don't sweat. I mean, for them it was perfectly acceptable, and they tend to live at nighttime also, because the gym started getting some of kind of busy, but it wasn't busy because it wasn't a business. So the thing is that Master Chan's business was different. He had the tailor company, he had some real estate business, he was president of, he had a card. This card was huge with all the titles, president, chairman, blah blah blah. And it was, it wasn't a business. So there were from time to time kids that came in. So around 6, Kong Pui Wai came in. He had a little class of children, and he taught the children, and we could spar and do stuff. And that was it was totally informal and serene. The good thing was the serene atmosphere. And then at 10, that was a routine. People started coming, and usually one of them went to one of the street food cart that were everywhere in Mongkok at the time, and bought duck or chicken or stuff, and he came in with this huge paper bags and they opened and put on the table, and we put the newspapers on the table instead of the towel, and we had a second and the Tsingtao beer, and we had the second dinner, and that was the second dinner. And after that I had the training with Chen Yikeng, who instead of going to sleep, he stayed with me when everybody was gone, and he, because Master Chan, in spite of what they say in the movies and stuff, he didn't train Kung Fu when he was in his 70s and 80s. So he forgets the sequences on the forms. It mixed up. It happens to me. And to everybody. I learned all the karate kata, but I couldn't remember one to save my life when time lapses. And so he taught me things, and from him I got the substance. The idea behind the concept. But I learned the forms actually from Cheung Yikeng. We put in order stuff. Also when I learned the Tisin, that Master Chan didn't want to teach in the gym, and since he was there during the day, he brought me every time to his country house to teach me the Tisin Kun. But in the night after, when everybody was gone, Cheung Yikeng put it in, fixed the sequences of the movements and things, because he wanted to be sure that I had the correct sequence, because Master Chan, from time to time, he mixed.
But that's normal, I think,
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. So totally normal.
Just the order of movements sometimes. I have a few sets that I have taught to some of my students, and now they are for me also like living hard drives. They have all
sure.
know the movement, but sometimes it's okay. that's normal, I think, you know.
But you know that what I did back in the days in the 70s, we didn't have, it wasn't easy like today to take movies or stuff. What I did is I took shots, in sequences of shots. I took thousands of pictures of Chung Kuen, you know, doing the form, each movement. I took the picture back in the days. Some of them are gone because unfortunately the problem, I took slides and over the years, at a certain point, I hadn't seen them for a while, and some of them were corrupted. The slides got, you know, got damaged by time, probably, I don't know, chemicals or stuff. And so I don't have many of them. I still, but I mean, I don't need them anymore. Now there's the memory, so the shared memory of YouTube, if you can find. But back in the days was a problem, and so I took a lot of pictures. What I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
yeah.
So because I know of in the beginning of the language barrier, but have you been told a lot about the Hungar history when you started? Like,
not really. I mean, this is another difference.
Yeah.
The teaching system was just imitation.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't talk. I mean, you see now videos of also famous teachers, you know, they talk a lot. Myself, when I handed on my teaching to some students of Chung Kuen that wanted to learn it, I had the permission from brother Kuen to teach it, and I found myself speaking a lot. They didn't talk. They, you know, also with the Chinese. So teaching Kung Fu wasn't about talking. It was about showing the technique and doing it. Then obviously they could read books. I mean, the books of Lam Sai Wing, there are some concepts. And then, you know, the concepts are normal, basic culture in the Kung Fu family. Is, you know, it's like in Italy, I don't know, talking about making pasta with tomato sauce. I mean, it's in our DNA. You don't need to talk. You show how you know how to drain the pasta or how to mix, but you don't tell the story because we know the story. And it was the same there. So you know, also for instance, I give you the example is the bridges thing. You know, I think that when I learned this sin, Sito Wing gave me these two paintings that he made with the bridges, you know, with the poem Gong Yao Pi Che Fan Din Chung Tai Lei Wan Chai Ting King Quan, and they are beautiful. He made them for me, and they hang in my house. But it told me, you know, the bridges. It told me what the bridges were. You know, it told me a few words. It told me, you know, the bridges are your connection and interaction with the opponent.
Yes.
And there are different ways of approaching the opponent and dealing with him, and these are the bridges.
Yeah.
And he made some examples. He insisted. Well, this is stuff that Master Chan told him to tell me. That was just a few words. You know, he insisted on the bridge lao, that means this active inactivity. So when they translate it as reserve, that means nothing actually. If you don't understand the captions that subdued, it's the idea of lao is that when you are relaxed, steady, but in fact you are moving internally, you know, and that's they told me a couple of things, but that was it. And now I see that on the bridges they make encyclopedia of words.
I agree with that.
But at the time they didn't talk much, and you know, also Lam Sai Wing was a few years before. I mean, it was recent in the 70s. And so, I mean, it was like talking about my grandpa. I mean, it was
right.
it wasn't a myth. And Wang Fei was grandpa, was Sifu's grandpa, and was a normal guy. He wasn't the hero of the movies that is today.
Exactly. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. My Qigong Sifu, so my Dai Qigong was Wong Lei, and
Yeah.
I've been told many times that Wong Lei and Chan Hon Chung have been very good friends.
Yeah,
But
he was a very good friend with a lot of people.
yeah. But
And
I think
it was kind.
At some point, Wong Lei also was supposed to. I'm not sure if he taught inside of Chan Hon Chung's gym or at least trained together with them there, but that's like 50s or 60s maybe. I mean,
I think because I haven't seen him. When did he die?
Oh, he died already in 1969. So that
1969.
I'm talking 50s, 60s.
Yeah, because I haven't seen him, but I understand why. And but there were a lot of people. I've been told that Ip Man was very, was in very good relation with Chan Hon Chung, and he was often there before dying. And but I saw a few guys. I saw a few guys that eventually became kind of famous, especially thanks to the social media, and that at the time came in to to bring the respect to Master Chen when he started the Hong Kong Chinese Martial Arts Association. That was, and so I mean he did something that was a great idea. He couldn't really accomplish it. He didn't have enough time. And I see that today KUNG-FU-FILME is doing well, but he wanted to do something something stronger, and that was it. But a lot of people came into the gym. Also in the 80s started people coming also from Italy, from and then there is the other thing, that now that he is died from a long time, that there is he has more students that he used to have when he was alive, because there are a lot of people that came to the gym and maybe stayed there a couple of days and visited, that pretend to be has been Chan Hon Chung students.
Yeah. So if we go back to your second trip, is that the time when you learned the spine of Hung Gar, the Gongji Fokokun? That's the
time. The Kung. That time in 45 days I learned it both. I learned the Gongji Fokokun and the Fu-Hawk.
Oh wow!
Yeah, in 45 days. And the thing that I remember is that year and some weapons. I actually don't. I think I learned the spear, which I liked so much.
Oh, okay.
And what I remember is that I've been told that since I was staying there and using the room and having the food and everything, that year I had to pay a substantial fee that I perfectly remember was for 45 days of staying in the place, learning stuff and eating food, was $250 US total. Yes. and that was the fee. And that I remember because I noted it. I at the time you had the problems with the money, transferring the money for being there. So what I did was also in Italy we had a problem with sending money abroad. There was a period of economical problems. And so what I did, I took the train, went to Switzerland, went in a Swiss bank, put the money in a Swiss bank, send the money to Hong Kong, and go to the bank in Hong Kong. That was illegal, of course. But, I put the money in the pocket on the train and then went to the Swiss bank and go. And in Hong Kong, I opened an account on the Hang Seng Bank. I still have the little book, because on the book, they put the book in this little printer, and when you draw the money, and I have the withdrawal for the money that I paid to Master Chan, and it was $250 US dollars. It was incredible. So yeah, and he started immediately. I remember the first day of the second year. You know, the thing is that Master Chen was in his office always, and you were in the gym that has this door that connected the gym with his office on the side of this table. And what you did, you went there and trained. You know, in the gym there was all the weapons and stuff. And occasionally Master Chen came out when he had a break, or when he didn't have patients there going there. And so I started training. And eventually he came out and he told me, show the stuff. I mean, show the you know, laugaku, you know, the things that I learned at the year in 1977. I said, oh yeah, and he, you know, moved something on my hands and did some changes. And then he didn't say nothing. I mean, he turned my back on me and clearly showing he could make you understand what he wanted. That was his skill, was great without talking. And I went behind him and he started doing the KUNG-FU thing. And that was it. And I was imitation. And then, you know, he made him do it again, and I showed it. And so he started with salute and all the things. And that went on. I think I took the whole set in less than a week.
Wow.
And then, but you know, a week that means training 2 hours in the morning, 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, and at least 1 more hour in the night.
Yeah.
Every day. Which is, I mean, I had to, you know, concentrate and do all the stuff. And in the night, you know, with Chung Keung, I worked a lot to put in order all the things. And then after learning the set, I think I kept learning it for a week. And in a while, because Master Chen told Chung Keung what he wanted him to teach me extra. And I think this was the spare, or I think it was the spare, the other, while I was learning the KUNG-FU. And then I did the same thing with the Fu-Hok, and in the side was probably the Kim, the straight sword, and those were the weapons. And that was it for that year, I think.
That's a lot already, you know.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. It take years now, but I think that is diluting the teaching of the forms in over a long period is not a good idea. I mean, I like it better, the idea of teaching the form quite quickly and then concentrating of the single movements to put them in order. But if you know all the forms, you know all the stuff, you know where you're bound to finish, you to reserve your energy. I mean, it was good, but then that was what happened to me.
That's great. So were you aware about Gongji and that this is like one of the most important sets at this time, or you just
KUNG-FU-FILME was, yes, I was aware that I was learning the KUNG-FU. Everybody knew the KUNG-FU. Yeah. So when you went out and spoke with somebody and met people, you know, and when I went to the chance lunch with Master Chen, and when they went around and somebody said, what you're learning now? I said the KUNG-FU-FILME. Oh yeah, KUNG-FU-FILME. It was, you know, KUNG-FU-FILME is widely known as one of the foundations of the old style. Even KUNG-FU and Fu-Hok are the rest is considered extra. So KUNG-FU and Fu-Hok. So I tell you that the other the butterfly and the other weapons, I kind of learned, I don't say by myself, because I had all the things that I was teaching, but it wasn't so, you know, traditional. So it wasn't the master that started saying, from now you start learning the full hawk. No, it was that, let's Hawaii, please teach me the Wudip Chang. And he went there and he taught me the Wudip Chang. And when he came in, I showed him the Wudip Chang. He put in order, and every day that came in, I show, oh, this, how is this, and how is that. And that was the only. Also, I tell you, also the Sapien Kun wasn't so formal.
Yeah.
With the other only formal things were the Kwang Do, that has been started by Master Chan, because he was insisted on the thing of the beard, you know, and he liked this idea of the beard, and on the horse that was pretending you were on the horse, and he was trying to explain these things. And then, of course, at Tsin Kun.
Yeah.
Tsin Kun was complex, a complex thing. So it took 40 days, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, considering you've been there in the 70s, 77, 78, 79, that was also the time, I would say, the peak of Kung Fu movies in Hong Kong. So that's probably the time when the most movies were produced and stuff.
We're awesome.
Yeah,
we went a lot
to go to the cinema and watch some of these.
With the kids. Oh, absolutely. It was normal. I mean, they were expecting it. They were waiting. Well, you know, tomorrow comes out the Fine Venoms, or you know, the fighters of Shaolin, or and of course, the funny thing is that after the movie, obviously we went for some yam cha, and they were discussing all the mistakes of the actors. So, you know, they were criticizing, heavily criticizing, you know, because the thing was that come si chiama, the bald actor, the most famous that now is in now he's in bad shape, and that his hip was wrong, and you know, and his rear foot was pointing outside, and his hand was this was, you know, was fun, because they were always critic with, you know, the negative. The only one that I think it came out in the 80s was Jet Li with the Siulam Temple.
Yeah,
maybe it was late 80s or something like that. That is the only one that no one criticized, but in my opinion is because that movie came from China.
Yes,
you know, it was different production, and you know, Chung Kuo is something that you don't criticize, because it's like mother for them. It's you don't criticize your mother, and then Jet Li, of course, is Jet Li.
But if you think about it, this Shaolin Temple movie, all the actors were actual wushu, wushu athletes, professional wushu athletes. So it's
not actors.
And then they did like the modern kind of wushu. But they were so good at it. I think they were not actors that did martial arts, but the other ways around, right?
Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, it was wonderful. I mean, it changed everything. I mean, in my opinion, no, it changed. After all, the movies that we saw in the early 80s were exactly the same. Even there were more sophisticated techniques of recording, but the movements, so schematics, you know, it was like chess gamble. You do this and you do this, and the tick, tack, pick, put, tack. But in Shaolin Temple, everything changed. I agree. But it was great going with them. And then we chit chat. No.
A lot of I must say, if you look behind me, this is my VHS collection.
Awesome. I see it. It's great. I've noticed
I'm
it.
a bit old school. I got my DVDs and my Blu-rays, but I still have my VHS, you know. And so I'm a bit of a movie buff, but for me it must have been so awesome. I wish I could time travel back in the 70s to Hong Kong just to go in the cinema. I mean, apart from meeting all the masters that are now not alive anymore, but I would love to go in the 70s and
I tell you, Frank, it was great. It was an happening, you know. Because you were supposed to go to the new movie the first day, you know, when it came out, because the next day was the topic. It's like in Italy, the football match. Yeah. So you were in a crowd that was 100% martial. Everybody, you know, at the time was Kung Fu was very popular.
Yeah.
Now it's I mean, disappeared, but it's just a few aisles. Yeah. But back in the days, Kung Fu was popular at the time, and we're all martial, and they were smoking, and they were eating popcorn. I mean, it wasn't the movie; it was an happening, and it was commenting. It was a noise. It was great, and then. Yeah, the after movie Yamcha was really awesome.
Wow, man.
Yes, you would have enjoyed it. You would have enjoyed it. I had so much fun.
I just imagine when you walk the streets, there were, I think, a lot of like big posters and
everywhere. Awesome. Yes, wow. and then, you know, the place where they appeared. Immediately, the first place was in the Star Ferry stations, because the Star Ferry stations were those most Hong Kongers pass by, so they advertised there. Probably the prices of advertising at Star Ferry were crazy.
Yeah.
And you see that when the new poster came out, there was a crowd of people commenting. You know, you know. And creating the expectations. It was because the Chinese comment a lot, you know. Back in the days, they were always chit-chatting on the new movies coming out.
Crazy. So let's go to 1979. I mean, what was next on what? Probably something.
You know, the next was kind of regular, so there was no more excitation, because I became more and more accustomed to what was going on. So I took my plane, went to Hong Kong, take the taxi, tell the driver Wong Kok To, Lei Tan To, to tell where the address was, went to the gym, and then it went on that way for a while. Then I started kind of suffering. The emotion wasn't, you know, the staying in the small room in 79 Nether Road, that was really uncomfortable. And you know, the beginning was great, but then I started growing old. I had some money because I started working. I finished to study and I started working. And also the good things is that brother Chan Kun Kwok, Arthur Chan, worked in a travel agency, and so he could have awesome prices on the hotels. And there was an hotel that was close by, and for a real cheap price, it was a 5-star hotel or 4-star. I mean, a fancy hotel, fancy compared to the standard junior traveler as I was. He offered me the possibility to go there, to stay there. So I stayed in this hotel, you know, after training so much, it was so comfortable going there, take a good shower, stay, you know, a bed, and, you know,
and training also needs a good
recovery. Yeah. And so I started staying in a hotel, and that was my basic, my schedule after, I think, was 82 or something. And I started staying in a hotel. In every year, Arthur found for me at an hotel that could give me a very cheap price, and was really cheap compared to the prices of the hotels in Hong Kong, and I could afford it. And I went on, and I mean, it didn't change much. The routine was the same, and it was a wonderful routine. I mean, it wasn't, I call it routine, but it was, you know, wonderful habits. And I got more and more, you know, friend with the guys, and they brought me around, and you know, I went to the Pauline Temple, and we went to Lantau, and we went to Macau with the guys, and it was nice. And I think that the real next, well, then there was the emotion of learning the Kwando that I think was 1983. I couldn't change, I mean, it doesn't change much. And that was when Master Chen again came out to teach directly.
Yeah.
And it was awesome, because then the problem was having a Kwando in Italy, because at the time it wasn't available. So I had to buy one in Hong Kong and have it shipped from Hong Kong, but it was considered a weapon. So I had to go through all the rules, see a declaration, permission for this thing, you know, a weapon. But eventually I could have it. I still have it. And that was interesting. And that year I completed the set of the standard weapons. I never learned the chain because I didn't like it. I never learned the trident. How do you call it? The trident.
The tiger fork. The tiger.
Okay, the tiger fork. That it was there, but in my opinion, everybody forgot it. Because I remember that one day I went down to drink. I mean, I was already gone to bed. I went down to drink, and Chang Yikeng was, I saw the lights, somebody was in the gym. So what is the gym? Was maybe 1 in the night, and Chang Yikeng was there with this weapon, and I think he was trying to rebuild the form, because probably, you know, it was there. Kind of messed up, and so I think they didn't teach it. At the time they didn't teach that. They didn't teach the fan, the seat, the
bench, the wooden bench,
the bench, and so the standard, you know, the standard. I learned the long stick that was Sito Wing's favorite weapon, the Lao Gakwan, the monkey stick. And then I learned just one form of the short butterfly knives, and then the spear, and then the tang tao, the curved spear, and what's more, and then I passed to the Kwando, and the Kwando was kind of hard, because Master Chen on the Kwando had something with the Kwando. I mean, he wanted it to be very perfect. He wasn't so, I mean, the rest of the weapons were okay. I mean, but the Kwando, it was, you know, on every movement, he wanted perfect. And I tell you that still in 1984, he could move the Kwando in a wonderful way. I mean, when he bent and make it spin behind your back, on around your neck, he could move like a young guy. It was incredible, that. And then when I left that year, he told just, next year come Tisin. That was his farewell. This is goodbye. And the next year, I think the second or third day, I showed up as usually at around 7 in the morning, and we went for the usual yamcha, and that time was strange because Raymond Lau showed up. Raymond was the best one in speaking English, so probably Master Chen had told him to be there to translate. And he told me that Master Chen wanted to end down Tissing Kun, and that, but I wasn't supposed to show it in the gym, and that we were supposed to go to his to learn it, to practice it in his country house in the New Territories. And already, you know, the former year, but no, before the Kwang Do, when I learned the Sapien Kun from for the dragon part was taught in his office or in the night with Chungi Kuen when no other people were around.
Okay.
So just the dragon part, the rest was okay. But the dragon, you weren't supposed to show it. So that was it. They didn't want people to imitate it and learn it by imitation.
Yeah.
And and so I started this trip was incredible because we had to take a bus, then a second bus, then, you know, to reach this house. That was awful. And then for the first days, he put me to fix his he had some plans and with the shovel to work in his house. And then probably, I mean, he did that because his wife was already gone, and he was alone in this small country house, and he had some problem. It was in bad shape, the garden, so he put me to work in the garden, and then eventually he started showing the Tissing Kun and the first movements of the Tissing, and we went there for I think a kind of few times, maybe 10 times for the whole set. But consider that then every night I spent, since I had to go in my room to go to the hotel to practice it because I couldn't practice it in the gym. So I came back, had lunch, go back in my hotel, practice it there to memorize, to study, and then come back to the gym, do the other stuff, practice the other forms, then had dinner with the guys, and then when everybody was gone with Chungi Kuen, I put in order the form. So it didn't took long to learn the whole set. What took long was to understand the mostly legs and waist and the thing, because they didn't explain. There was nobody to tell you, oh, the breathing is here. It was just showing imitation. A few times I practiced it in the early morning when nobody was there in Sifu's office with him, who mostly focused on the movement of the pelvis when breathing, and also on the movements of the legs and the weight on the feet, on the knees. This details when you change your position, and which is something that I understand that today a lot of people don't have. That's lost.
Can you give me 1 minute? I want
sure.
to say, need to be right back. Yeah, my wife just left for work.
I was okay. I had the mic. Okay. And so that was it. So he focused on the details, and all the Tissing Kun teaching was about details. So I understood that the form wasn't. I mean, the form was just about details, about the form. If you think the form is simple, I mean, compared with full hawk, or there's nothing. But there's, for instance, on the sounds, I was very frustrated with the sounds. For many years, I didn't want to pass the Tissing to anybody else because I didn't feel comfortable with the sounds. I had the opinion that if you are not don't speak the Chinese, you cannot produce the correct sounds. Then when I came back, then for one time, Chan Hon came to Europe and France, and I met him, and there were other guys that could translate, and you know, because we are so close friends, we love each other, but we can't speak with Chan Hon. He told me he could explain me that the problem is not the language, the problem is that how you produce it, and that I started, you know, understanding something. Also, I had the opportunity to go to some, you know, Rudolf Steiner and the anthroposophic movement of medicine in Europe. And I followed this holistic medicine with my doctor, is an holistic doctor, and he sent me I had an allergy that I cured with a special way of singing that's called Verbect, and it has the same sound of the Ticine. It has the that is the sound NG for us. And so practicing this thing, at a certain point, I found the resonance. That is what you are, you know, you are looking for when you practice the Ticine Kuen. The sound, the thing that they say that's healing you. They say that the Ticine is healing, but the body explains you why it heals you. Well, now I know, but from Western culture, well, Rudolf Steiner studied a lot of Eastern stuff, so he knew. But the sound of the Ticine Kuen, has a strong healing system. In fact, people tend have problems in believing it. It cured this heavy allergy that I had with the sneezes in springtime, you know. Yeah. And so that's why there's a lot of good stuff in the Ticine sounds.
Yeah. Right.
And then many years later, I understood. I should say, maybe 10 years later, I understood this thing of the sounds and the resonance of the sound. But it's something it's very hard to explain. I mean, you must find it out by yourself, practicing and practicing and practicing. Yeah. And that's why they didn't focus most on the movements. They focused on the details. And you understand that if you move correctly, especially your pelvis, but your whole thing, and your spine, keep your spine straight and stuff, and then it works. And you at a certain point you feel it. I mean, it's like, you know, it comes, and now I practice the Ticine every day. You know, I've been practicing since 1984, and I practice every day, and it's great, and it's great, and it's great.
So just as a side note for our viewers right now, but when they watch it eventually, you can, if you're more interested about Ticine Kuen and how Brother Alberto has learned it, he has a YouTube page, and on this page he has a series of videos talking about and even showing Ticine Kuen in its entire set. So I will add your YouTube link.
Or you can start from my blog. My blog is onemoreblog.org, and there is a section on the menu that say martial arts, and there are reflection, thoughts about martial arts. But in good view, there is the link to the Ticine Kuen series with some consideration about that. Yes, please anticipate that it's very boring, because I wanted to make it boring, because I mean, I wanted to you know, Ticine Kuen is something you cannot learn just learning the movements.
No.
And so I decided to pass it down during the lockdown, because I really considered the possibility that I could die by COVID. I mean, can happen. And I thought that I am now the only one person in the world that still practices Hong Kong style and that learn from Master Chan, the Tissing Kun, because my brother Cheng Kuen doesn't teach anymore, and I mean, and doesn't want to teach anymore, and Kung Fu Y got it from me. I mean, you know, it is not ashamed. I mean, doesn't need, I mean, it has no problems because he didn't care of learning it. At a certain point, say, hey, Alberto, give me the Tissin because I want to have it. And I said, sure. And I sent him, and then, I mean, for him, it was a matter of just learning the sequence, of course. Yeah. But, and so I thought that I felt obliged to share this value that I have. It's not safe. It's like not having a backup copy of the stuff that you have on your computer. And so I decided to end it down. So I made a live streaming for 27 days, and where I you know, analyze all the parts, some Hmong style and some Tissin. It's boring, but if somebody wants to follow it, it needs to know that it's boring, but it's part of the, you know, of the process.
Process and have a very nice result in the end, right?
Yeah, so, it had a nice audience. I mean, it's been downloaded few thousand times. I mean, it decreases the more you go on, people gets bored. So just the good ones reach the end, and this was the goal.
But you know, I agree with you about sharing. I mean, Tissing Kun used to be the best kept secret of Hunggar. Like what you already told us, when you learned it, you had to go in a separate room or somewhere on the countryside. But I think now, as we know, you can see whatever you want, as long as you don't practice. It's just what you see, but not what you have, right? So
right, correct.
And I feel like things can be shared. I think Tissing Kun could be good for anyone. He doesn't even need to practice Hunggar Kun. He could do another style. It doesn't matter, because I think Tissing Kun is something for it by itself. You know, it has its own universe. But
totally agree.
If you learned Hunggar, it will enhance everything you have learned before. But if you have not Hunggar, it will enhance your health and your well-being. You know, that's what I think. So
I think that Tissing Kun is very good in learning the self-consciousness of your body. I mean, which is very good. I tell you something, just an example. I mean, it's not enough. I mean, it's self-consciousness, something that you can build day by day, and, you know, and feed day by day with new experiences. I have problems in my knees because I practice all the sports that hurt the knee in my life. Some volleyball, skiing, martial arts, especially in the 70s, when I you know, during winter, I went to the semi-contact contest, and by the time was very bad for the health of this high kicks, and so my knees are kind of messed up, and I had troubles. I mean, I felt pain on the stairs, and at a certain point, somebody told me a few things about the position of my waist when I do stairs, and I realized that if I put my waist in the correct position and I make your center of gravity go forward before starting doing the steps, it helps, and the knees work better. Well, this idea, I mean, was a guy of Western sport teacher. I mean, he told me this. This idea helped me understand better a detail of the Tissing Kun movement. And so when there is the first turn after this part, and you change 180 degrees, that thing, you know, moving the knees, leaning a little slightly. I mean, they're not thing that you see from outside. You see from the inside of your body, and then bringing slightly the center of gravity in the direction where you are turning makes everything bit, and it comes out alone. And you know, and that is thinking, you discover a new thing every day. You practice it, and there are all things that are very good for your body, because if you do that, you feel that your spine stays in a very straight position, and it works, and it's better. I mean, we get old. I mean, I am approaching the 70s. In a few years I will be 70, and I want to be efficient. You know, I will be 68 in a few days, and I want to be efficient. I mean, that I want to a life without going around, walking, running, swimming in the sea. It's poor. And this Kuen helps you a lot. Yeah. Helps you understand things. That's why. But this is something. That's why I don't trust the people want to teach Kuen on the movies. That's I didn't want to teach Kuen on the YouTube. You know, and none of the movies on the YouTube. I wanted just to share a knowledge there, an idea of the thing for people that. So what I put together from this experience, and this Kuen is something that is self-teaching. The more you practice, it teaches itself, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
It's true, so true. Also, what my Sifu always says is, which also kind of confirms what you said, is in a way, is my Sifu said Kuen is easy to learn, hard to practice. You know,
it is the best synthesis I've heard about the Kuen. Is that it's hard to practice, and in my opinion, is easy to learn. I would add is hard to practice and to understand.
Yeah.
Because when I learned the Kuen, you know, after I seen the Kuen for the first time from the whole set from Chung Kuen one night when he showed me the whole thing. You know, one of the first days, he wanted to show me what I was looking for to learn, and it looked like a standard form, just lower and in contraction, you know. And I said, well, no big deal. I mean, to learn it. I mean, so, but then the more you practice, it took a while for me to understand how powerful and beautiful it is. You know, I tell you at the beginning, if it weren't for the allure, for the aura that surrounds it, you know, for all the myth, it would have seemed like a normal other form, just lower. I mean, a mix between Hong style and Tai Chi Chuan or what that. But it's when you practice and you practice and you practice and you concentrate. And of course I've been lucky because I've seen it from the real source. I've seen the real thing, and that was made my life easier. But I know the guys, the four guys that I passed it down, that the four Italians, wonderful kids that are students of Chung Kuen, and they confirmed they had exactly the same impression that is something that you learn and you practice, and every day you discover a little detail that is not in the movement, that is not in the form, is in your body. And
only discover by yourself.
You discover it by yourself. And another thing that I discovered, I really canceled this thing that I never liked, this internal and external thing of the martial arts. I never liked it, and I confirm. I mean, if you are a martial artist is about your whole body, your all, you know, the physical, the spiritual, the energy, and it's, you know,
there's no internal without external. There's no
and
without
vice versa, you know. And the thing is that the teaching Kuen is exactly that, is the yin and yang that each part compenetrates the other. So they cannot say this art is internal and this art is external. I mean, martial arts is everything. There's no possibility. Even also the martial art, I mean, the good stuff, the good Chinese martial arts. Yeah. Look at Jet Li when he fights with his Tai Chi. I mean, this is external. I mean, those are punches, and yeah. but at the same time, it comes from the energy. You know, the way they collect the energy and throw it in a direction. And Tissing Kuen is the ultimate moment that confirms that there is no internal or external, but there's internal and external, yes, together interacting, always interacting, and always compenetrating to make you, because you are one thing. I mean, you are one thing with your body, with your spirit, but also you are one thing with the world. So with the nature and no divisions.
Exactly. Oh, this is so great. Yeah. So we can say Hung Gar Kuen is a well-rounded system with very well thought out, with so many things in there that everyone can take something. People have different goals in life, or also take different goals in their martial art journey. Some maybe want a good health, or you know, some want to learn how to fight better. So there's so many different things that you can take out of it, and that's what
absolutely.
It's so complex, you know.
I totally agree, and then is so complex, and I think that it is so complex and complete and efficient and good. I mean, it's just good. Ong style is good, but because the idea that stays behind it is the idea of a person. I mean, I think that one thing we are speaking, I mean, we always speak about ancient martial arts, but our own style was born in the beginning of 19 you know, the last century. So it's as about 100 years as we but the thing is that it has been built on thousands of years of experience. So it's just as and this guy, this one thing probably was really a guy that had a vision, and he really put together the good stuff, and he made a synthesis of the good stuff. You know, he mixed and this is why, compared with other martial arts that are, I don't want to say that the Kong style is better than this. I mean, the idea that I made a guy that wrote me the other day, and I told him that my idea is that the martial arts are like a mountain. There are different paths that goes up on the mountain, but all the paths bring to the same peak. Yeah. And there are certain paths that don't go up. They go around and go around, and they don't reach the peak. The good paths, some paths are straight, some other go in curves, but all the good paths reach the peak, and the peak is the same for everybody. So, you know, the Ong style, in my opinion, is one of the arts, to my experience, to what I know about other martial arts that I've seen, is the one that goes with the most efficient way. I mean, it doesn't go straight, like, for instance, the Wing Chun, you know, that is very simple, efficient, and it doesn't go around like the Tai Chi, or, you know, that it has a good, I mean, it's hard, but you can do it. It's doable. And other martial arts, probably like the Tai Chi, if you don't work a lot and you don't reflect a lot, you cannot reach the peak. It's very difficult. Gives you other opportunities. But the Hong style is probably the best relation between hardness and the possibility to reach the top.
Agree. Very well said. So after all these years going to Hong Kong, you have completed the system, and then I understand because life goes on, you create a family, you start working, you have other responsibilities. So you had a bit of you never lost contact, but there was a period of time that you didn't go to Hong Kong until when was it?
2010, I went back for the first time after many years.
Tell us about that story, because I think it's one.
That's great. So just to synthesize it, after Sifu's, after the shutdown of the gym, I moved of 729 Nathan Road. I moved to Cheung Yi-keung's gym, and I kept going to Hong Kong to Cheung Yi-keung's gym in Edward Prince Edward. I was so honored of being invited there for the opening, the great opening and it was the same good. I mean, it was the same. And Cheung Yi-keung is a real wonderful guy. And so eventually, for life changes, and I learned everything. I like the guy. So for a while, I kept going for a short time. I went there a week. I stayed just to see the guys, do some training, and then I went to the seaside with my wife in somewhere in Philippines or Bali or those places. Then I quit because I didn't, I started working hard and I didn't have much time, and of course, once you've learned everything, and the only thing that the Master Chan wasn't there anymore, the gym wasn't there anymore, things have changed, Hong Kong changed after, and so I didn't feel that need to go there again. When it was the time I went there, I was expecting that day of leaving as it was like Christmas, going to Hong Kong. At a certain point, I had nothing more to learn, so I kept practicing at home. I never been a teacher. I never feel that confident because I had those problems with the language. I haven't learned so deeply the style. I haven't seen the real teachers. I had not time considering myself a teacher, because to me, a teacher is Master Chan Hon Chung. A teacher is Kung-Fu-Wai, and they are people that dedicated their lives to the martial arts. I didn't do that. I didn't dedicate my life to martial arts. I did a lot of different things. And so I couldn't feel myself as a teacher. And those are other reasons. I stopped going there. I kept training on a daily basis. During time, I kind of left the weapons for logistic problems. You couldn't train in a small room in the Guangdong. I kept always practicing the forms. I train every day, probably mostly not 7 days a week, but let's say 12 or 13 days every 2 weeks. So I train every day. But in 2010, with my wife, I wanted to show her I want her to meet my brothers there. Yeah. And so we decided to spend the Christmas holidays in Hong Kong. So we left, and we advised Sito Wing and the guys. And I haven't seen them for such a long time. I didn't know I wasn't expecting anything special from them, in spite of the fact that we were very close and very friendly at the time. But it was really special because when we landed with the direct flight from Milano with Cathay Pacific early in the morning. It was 7 in the morning, or 6:30, and Sito Wing was there with this huge BMW car, And he told me, "Oh, I'm sorry," because he was he had reserved the hotel for me, and this beautiful hotel in Mongkok with the 18th floor with a beautiful sight of the airport, and he said, "I'm sorry, your room is not ready yet, and so why don't we go for a yam cha together?" I said, "Okay, let's go for a yam cha." And when we reached a place, the yam cha place, there was the usual table that was our standard table in the 70s, and then back in the old times when there was Chen Yikeng, there was Raymond Lau, there were you know, Leon Fook and all the brothers, and we had this first yam cha. Just an hour after I landed, I had my yam cha with Siu Pao, Gao Siu Mai, and a lot of Paul AT. And that was, I thought that was the welcoming party, and I was very happy. And you know, for that, because the few guys, the important guys were there. But then Wing said, "Okay, take a rest, go walk," because you know, in Hong Kong, what I like doing in Hong Kong is walking around Hong Kong and going places and seeing. And he said, "Okay, I'll come to pick you up at 7 for let's go to dinner today. I have to work." And so we spent the day walking. We rested a while, and then at 7 we were ready, and he came to the hotel, and we walked to this. They said, "Let's go a restaurant here. Just we have standard Cantonese as you like," because they don't like Cantonese. They are bored of Cantonese food, but I love it. So they know that I love Cantonese food, and they bring me there. And the thing is that I realized that Kung Fu Wai had rent the whole place. And this was this huge table with all the guys, the Chinese guys that I met during the years in the gym. You know, people go and leave, so that they don't, not just the Sihing. So you know, there were they invited everybody, all the kids that I met during the years. And it was a huge dinner, this wonderful dinner, the huge thing with wonderful pictures. There was the son of Master Chen, Edward. There was everybody was there. There was the guys that stopped practicing Kung Fu, Asai, and I wanted to have a special place for my dearest friend that passed away. Had passed away a couple of years before, Hui Wing. That was a wonderful person, and we made a seat for him with a picture, and, and he had his tea, and Kung Fu Wai brought for me a very special old pu'er tea with you know, and it was really great. It was moving. My wife couldn't believe it. I mean, she said, "Well, you told me that you had friends in Hong Kong, but I wasn't expecting this, you know." And it was great. It was really great. And we stayed there for a week. And every day I went to Kang's gym for, again, showing him the Tisin. And he put together, and this here I have a thing. It's interesting. So I already said probably in the movie, in the videos, and also in the little book that I made with Pavel. But the thing is that when I learned this thing, I took a detailed note, you know, of every movement. At the time I didn't have the movie camera, but I wrote and I took pictures of myself, you know, this and I know that the sequence was that. And when I went to Chen Yikeng, he added in the middle a few movements. And he said, "Well, you lost this little part." And I know that I didn't lost it because I had the record, you know. Yeah. So I started, after learning this part, I started thinking about it and considering it, and asking myself what was the meaning of the thing. You know, they are Chinese; they are very difficult to understand in the second thing. And so they gave me different answers. I don't know which one is the correct one, but this little part, which if it was there at the time, maybe they didn't teach me because they wanted to put a mark and see if I gave away the form. So, you know, if I give it away and somebody shows up doing the tisin without that, that didn't have, you know, that they didn't give him, they can understand that it was from me, from missing that part. That one of the, but I saw a couple of tisin on YouTube of old guys with the same origin where that part is missing. There's no that part. So I mean, I was confirmed that what I thought and I learned at the time was the real, the full thing. So the second thing is that Chang Keng added the part because he wanted to have his own tisin. I mean, the little part is really coherent with the rest, doesn't have any. And that is the other explanation. He probably wanted to have his own and to be sure that is the rest is, there is his own tisin and the rest. And that is the other chance. But this is interesting, and
yeah,
you know, it's I kept it, but I don't include it in my daily training.
Oh, yeah.
I keep training the thing that I learned from Master Chan.
Okay, yeah. Oh, great. So like you mentioned, the little book that is available through BoFaat Sifu's page, right?
Yeah. Also, if there's it's so BoFaat Sifu, you can download it, buy it. It's on Amazon, I think. I gave it. I made a I gave it to him to support. Yes.
I had it printed out. That's the book.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
This book is, if you buy it or download it, I just recommend, because I love real books. PDF is nice, modern, but the real book is so wonderful and has.
That's picture. That picture has been taken at the Chan's ceremony, at the Chan's meeting.
So, I must have read it 3 or 4 times already.
I am so happy.
Very because if you love Hong Kong and martial arts, this is the book to go, because the way you wrote it is really, you know, it really hits the point. You know, it's you can really feel the atmosphere. It's great. You know. So.
You know, brother. The thing is that back in the days in that gym, there was not, you know, this feel of competition of that I feel today, business competition, where everyone don't want to say it, but everyone wants to be clear that he's better than the others. You know, it was just relaxed. And what you know, after all, kung fu, we get old. I mean, we don't have to go around fighting as they did, you know, 200 years ago, 300 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of yourself. And I tell you that the experience of living it and in that environment was wonderful as learning that scene. You know, it was the same good. It was in a wonderful environment with people with their, you know, with their problems, their discussions, friends, and people that liked each other, people that didn't like each other in the gym, as in every community. But the thing was that this feel of unity, it was a real family. And Master Chan was real a sun in a solar system, and in everything were spinning around him. It was really, and you know, having the privilege to be in touch with such a guy has been in my life has been one of probably the best. You know, together with having a father like mine, I had a great father, and and that was the other experience. But I had my real father, and Chan Hon Chung, that really was like father to me. And you know, he brought me around in his car, and we went to places, introduced me to people, and it's been, I don't know why, what he saw in me, or probably just there's, but it's been a real privilege, and it's been an experience that I wish that all the people could have, because it's been so much teaching. It was great.
It's also really great that you share this with, you know, with us. I mean, this is no, I really appreciate that, and I think a lot of people will do that, and some people, everyone has his own ways, but some people like to keep things for themselves, don't share. But I think sharing good things is a wonderful thing, because it also may inspire or motivate others, you know, to go a similar way or try similar things, and it's a good thing, you know. I mean, like what you said, you turning 70 in a few years. Man, look at you, you're very well, you know, you look good, you move well, you know, your mind is sharp, you know, so that's a goal to go for, you know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's just for the kung fu experience, but surely, you know, what you are. It's a mix of different ingredients of your life, and so, you know, I have the privilege also of working with young people. That probably, you know, dealing with young people is the best way to stay young, but surely that experience brought a lot. And you know, when I see during the years, I had the opportunity to meet some people that pretended that they went to study with Chan Hon Chung, that they know kung fu and stuff, and also other people that started going to Cheung Keong's gym, went there for a few times in the 90s, or and what I see is that what is missing is this original idea of community and of availability to share. You know, when I went there the first time, in spite of the fact that I'd been introduced as something that I was not, so the karate expert that I was not, but still, people, they were welcoming, they were inclusive, they didn't, and this is what I don't recognize in most of today's teachers of martial art. They are exclusive. They tend to say we are the best, you know. There's also in our style, I mean, there's people that are very good, but there is this idea of exclusion, of no. In Chan Hon Chung's place, family was being part of the family was a privilege, but it was privilege that it was available to everybody. You know, that was the big difference. Yeah. You didn't have to ask to be accepted. You went there, you wanted to be part of it, and you started training, and you were accepted. I mean, you had to follow the rules of being honest, and, you know, and training and being kind with other people with normal, you know, basic behavior rules, you know, of civilized people. But that was it. You know, I hear of fees of thousands of euros to learn a form, you know, today. That to learn the Tissin, 10,000 euros.
Wow.
It's not. Is that no? That's not the way. That's not the thing. I mean, it's. I paid $250 for 45 days of staying there and learning stuff.
Times have changed in that aspect.
Yeah. And also, I don't think that you can learn, you know, I mean, so it's, if you like to learn Kung Fu, it's I mean, I understand that it's not easy to go to a place like Chan Hon Chung's gym and stay there for, I mean, it was a privilege. I was very lucky, you know, and I understand how lucky I was. But today, I mean, you have to go to a gym and spend a few hours there, and then, but that's okay. But it's not okay is this thing of this superstructure of stuff and ceremonies and rules and the belts and the colors and the exams and the degrees and what I can stand is that they changed the name of the family into degrees. So you have to pass an exam to become a Sihing. What the hell? Sihing is my elder brother. I mean, it's not a degree, Sihing. You know,
Dai Sihing and stuff like that. I saw Dai Sifu. What's a Dai Sifu? Is that between Sifu and Segong? There's a Dai Sifu.
Yes, it's incredible. It's like Sifu, but to me, it's like the I wrote this article that has been downloaded a lot of times when I blamed the idea of the grandmaster. I mean, so I would never call Master Chan Hon Chung a grandmaster on this kind of stuff. I mean, it was Chan Sifu. I mean, it's Sifu. The problem is that Sifu or people that calls themselves Sifu. I mean, Sifu is something that you in China. You call somebody that is good in doing what he does. So right. The good tailor, you call him Sifu.
Sifu,
you know?
Taxi driver.
Whatever. And Master Chen was a great doctor, and he was Sifu, Master Sifu. And, you know, it's a way of you know, we like in Italiano we say signore or maestro, you know, and so if you are a good movie maker and you are old and stuff, we call him maestro, you know, because he's maestro in what he does. But why grand maestro, grand maestro? That's crazy.
This is westernized, you know. This is
westernization. But you know that in Italy, Sifu is a degree that is needed. You need to pass the examination to be Sifu, to be part of the Federation of Sports. If you want to have a gymnasium, you must be affiliated to the Federation of Sport Federation to have the insurance and stuff. And if you want to, you must pass an examination and be declared Sifu by somebody that tells, okay, this is Sifu, and then they write Sifu before your name. And this is just crazy. This is just crazy. But, well, time changes. We cannot be the old people that blame the new life. Makes me laugh.
Oh well.
Oh well.
But the last thing I wanted to talk about with you is what do you see, or how do you see traditional martial arts blending in with the future or with modern times?
That's I should have the crystal ball to yes. know it. But what I see is that, I mean, martial arts evolve. You know, probably when Wang Fei coded the Hong style, he coded it from different from other stuff, and probably people of this time, the old people at the time of Wang Fei were criticizing him, and so that is one of the one of the problems. I tell you, I don't know much. I don't know much what's going on. I cannot understand. First, because I'm not really into the martial arts world, but what I see from the pages that I follow is there is, I mean, the tradition in terms of the essence of the martial arts, that there was sense of the family, of relaxed family and atmosphere and stuff, is lost. I mean, this is lost. It has been, and so I see that a lot of people concentrate on the external thing of the, you know, the uniform, the tea ceremony, this kind of stuff that I never kneeled in front of Master Chen. I never offered I offered a cup of tea at the tea house because I paid the bill, you know, occasionally when he left me, which it was very seldom. But all the ceremonies were had nothing to do with Master Chen. And I mean, if he's the real grandmaster, people should learn from him. There was no kneeling in front of a guy, and that was it. But I see that there is, so the essence is lost, in my opinion. And also in my opinion, what is worse is that is lost is the martial essence. So when we were in the 70s, we went on the roofs of the houses to fight. I don't say spar, I say fight, because the punches were real, and with the guys from other gym, and we used what we learned. If you see now people that learning home style or other styles and go sparring, when they go to spar, they don't use the technique what they learn. I mean, because they probably didn't learn the essence. They learned the form without understanding it, and so they look like mediocre boxers, and instead of kung fu practitioners. I mean, if you learn Tai Chi, that my idea, if I learn kung fu is I have to spar, and I use my kung fu to spar. So why do you learn kung fu and you know, and you don't use it? And this is something. So now there is the MMA, this kind of stuff, and I don't know. I hope that also China came back into the martial arts with the new wushu and stuff that is more spectacular stuff. They're wonderful athletes, you know. But still, that thing, you know, the thing of Master Chen was effective. I had the occasion to spar with him once, and I tell you that was crazy. It was like sparring with a tree that can move his arms. It was hard. I mean, you couldn't move, you know, you couldn't do something. He was immediately in there. But his idea was this thing that he used the bridge P, so the take the space. I mean, he was constantly invading the space. He was constantly changing the cards on the table. So I mean, when you were attacking, you thought you were attacking to a place, and he wasn't there anymore. I mean, it just, you know, that was the real thing. And he used the old style. I mean, he was fighting with the. I haven't seen a single video of somebody, you know, on YouTube. People put videos where they're sparring you know, the American guys with the big muscles, with the steel rings, and then they spar and they look like boxers. And the boxers are better. I mean, so I really don't know. I really don't know. I hope it won't be lost. But I don't have any special feeling. Yeah, no.
Open.
The sky is open. Let's keep people like us that understand the value and appreciate the value, must spread the word and keep alive the tradition. That's the only, I mean, that's what we can do, and that's the only possibility we have.
Yeah. I mean, if I look at Hong Kong, for example, I see not many, or there's like not a new generation coming after. Maybe my Sifu, maybe some of my Sifu students in Hong Kong might be the last generation, and then I'm not sure. I hope not, and I hope that at some point people recognize the value of traditional martial arts, because now it all comes down, how good is it at fighting, you know?
Yeah.
And everyone talks about MMA, which is probably the best for fighting right now.
Yeah.
But it's not all about fighting. I mean, it is about fighting, and the fighting aspect should be also treated like that. But there's so much more: the culture, the philosophy, the so many things, and the family, the most important, the feeling of in the family.
Also fighting. Today's fighting, so MMA, and so as rules. But you know, my problem is that it's not correct to change the martial arts into sports. I mean, sport is good. I mean, I like sport. I like to see people fighting, you know, and I like it's fun. I mean, from time to time, I watch some fighting videos. But that's different. I mean, it's a matter of, I am in the middle of the street, and somebody attacks me. I have to defend myself, my wife, or my kids, which has nothing to do with even with MMA. I mean, MMA is something that relies on the physical fitness, you know. It's more being fit and strong and quick and fast than having a proper technique. So they train a few techniques and they use those, and they try to, you know, but traditional Kung Fu or martial arts should be different. It's something that it comes handy in a different situation with no rules. And you know, and so I don't think that today's fighting is the answer. So and also we hope we'll go into a society that will not require fighting. So what's the point of learning martial arts? It's because it builds. I mean, I after 50 years, and I understand it. I mean, I feel good, and I don't know if I would feel if I would feel so good if I didn't practice martial arts for 50 years.
Exactly. That's
listen, I see that I have a problem with time.
Yes, I think we can close it up now, because I don't even know how long we have. It's
2 hours and it's been a very wonderful, but I have to leave to go to see my mother that is 105 years old.
Wow.
And had his first dose of vaccine, and she's perfectly efficient and well. So but I have to go to see her.
That's so great.
Yes.
105.
Yeah.
That's
105. Yeah.
Wow. So I want to thank you again for having taken this time talking to me, talking to us, you know, to everybody, sharing your experience, which is a wonderful story. And I hope many people will watch it and have fun.
I hope it can be useful to somebody just to understand the old way. And I'm so glad that you are keeping up the good part of the good aspects of martial arts. I really admire your efforts. You're doing great. I mean, it's great, and I hope we will have occasion to do this, keep on this conversation in the future, and possibly in front of a glass of beer or wine or whatever.
Yes. I can't wait for that.
Okay.
So
okay, brother.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you to you, and have the best time. Okay, stay safe.